What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be doing a video about generational astrology. I just became compelled to do this video after someone from Eastern Europe messaged me who was my age. She was 18 and I'm 19, and people are surprised by my age all the time, but I tell them it's just the characteristics of my generation. So every individual of every generation may have the planetary, the outer planetary astrology of their generation emphasized, or the opposite of emphasized in their individual charts. And there's other circumstances that don't have to do with astrology necessarily, like where you live in life and all that stuff to consider too. But every generation has their distinct underlying characteristics because of the outer planetary astrology, which means the positions of Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and all of the outer dwarf planets of that generation. So I'm going to go over the generations that are alive right now, from youngest to, well, okay, I'll go from oldest to youngest. I don't know enough about some of the older generations' characteristics, but I know about their astrology. So, alright, let me go into this. I'm going to start with the 1933 generation. The 1933 born generation, 28 to 1933, that was a generation extremely similar to the generation born 2011 to 2015, because they have the Uranus-Pluto square in their chart. And ironically, it was also when Pluto was closest to the ecliptic plane. Pluto only touches the plane of all planets, the plane where it's most strong at Capricorn and Cancer. Like, say this is the zodiac plane, Capricorn, and the opposite at Cancer. So, when Pluto was in Cancer in 1928 to 33, Uranus and Aries squared it. It made a 90-degree angle between them, and that made a generation of revolutionaries. The primary reason for this awakening, 2011 to 2015, aside from the circumstances, were the Uranus-Pluto square, an extremely powerful revolutionary angle that isn't negative like traditional squares. So that generation, that was 1933. And then the next generation I want to emphasize is the generation born around 1941 to 44. So this is the Uranus sextile Pluto generation. This generation also, some of them have Pluto conjunct the North Node, like Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison is a classic example. Jim Morrison of the Doors, he's a classic example of Uranus sextile Pluto. And he has Pluto conjunct his North Node, an intense destiny in transformation and intuition and spreading intense ideas, because his Pluto is connected to his Uranus. So I have Uranus sextile Pluto too. I'm the first generation since 1942 to have that angle, born in 1996, but that's only a small component of mine. So 1942, then we go to the next most interesting generation to me, 1965. The reason the 60s had this revolutionary feel to it, the reason that this psychedelic revolution came around, the reason all that stuff happened, I believe, was because of the conjunction of Uranus and Pluto. Pluto intensifies anything it touches, like, more intensely than anything else possibly can. And Pluto is transformation, intensity, power, and deep intuition. Some things that we haven't quite put our fingers on yet. Mostly transformation, intuition, power, and yeah, Pluto has a very piercing quality to it. Pluto is probably the most demonstratively powerful dwarf planet, and Pluto has laid the groundwork for an understanding of the rest of the dwarf planets. So anyway, 1965, this power of Pluto aligned with the power of Uranus, revolutionary tendencies, Aquarius tendencies, ideas, the flow of ideas, creativity, everything that I'm about, that's Uranus. I'm Aquarius. With Uranus and Aquarius, that's what I am. So, when this power of Uranus, revolution, creativity, intuition, align with the other power of transformation, intuition, Pluto, it intensified the power of Uranus and made a strong revolutionary era from 64 to 67 when it peaked. It peaked in 67. So that's the same exact peak for the general energy of that era if you didn't even know about the astrology of it. So people born in 65 can be very, very intuitive. So this happens every 127 years, the alignment of Pluto and Uranus. So it's a conjunction. I say alignment because it's easier to understand if you don't understand it. So the generations of angles from Pluto to Uranus, those are some of the most powerful revolutionary generations there are. The main revolutionary generations, the generations that change things and want to cause global change, that's because it's embedded in them. That's me. You know, Uranus sextile Pluto, like Jim Morrison, like the black revolutionaries of the civil rights movement in the 60s were born in the Uranus-Pluto square of 1933. Huey P. Newton, Martin Luther King, the revolutionaries from Philly organization MOVE, all those people were born in the Uranus-Pluto square. And this is another thing I've noticed. People that are born in a revolutionary generation of Uranus and Pluto are often activated in the next cycle of Uranus and Pluto. They are born in one and they're activated in another. So I was born in 1996 in the sextile of Uranus and Pluto, and I was activated fully 2011 to 2015 in the Uranus-Pluto square, the next phase of the synodic cycles of Uranus and Pluto. So beyond Uranus and Pluto, we're moving on to the generation of the 70s. First of all, the generation born in 1970 to 1973 has a significant problem in their astrology. The generation born 1970 to 73 can be extremely stubborn, and they can hold on to their ideas with such a firm conviction, their illusions with such a firm conviction that they may be susceptible to brainwashing, to societal conditioning, and I think they've been hit pretty hard with that. They have Saturn opposite Neptune, which creates a really tense, well, kind of like a wanting to keep this thing that should not be solid, this Neptunian flowing deep intuition, they want to keep that solid and practical like Saturn in an oppositional and not very functional way. So this generation born in the 70 to 73, they could be really, really stubborn and really, you know, like that. I can't think of anything positive to say about them. I don't mean to be a dick, but that's the way they are. Alright, so moving on to 1975 to 78 generation. They have Eris opposition Pluto. Eris is the other largest dwarf planet aside from Pluto, according to what astronomers currently know. Eris is a revolutionary power like no other. Eris can be equated to the energy of Aquarius or Uranus mixed with Mars or Pluto. Eris is a lot like a mix of Uranus and Pluto. So this dwarf planet Eris, it can be found in charts like the chart of Julian Assange, founder of WikiLeaks, a few other people. The people born namely in 1978 have Pluto opposite Eris. I haven't fully determined what this means. Some of them are very dark but not all of them, not by any means. So the people born in 1978 have piercing qualities, piercing, either revolutionary or dark, piercing intensity. So that's that generation. That's only one aspect of the generation too, just the aspect that I wish to mention right now. So I'm going to continue this video in a part 2, because it's kind of hard to say all at once. I'm just doing it off the top of my head. So, peace, much love.